I was going to ask you something, Michael, because
Yeah.
I think I missed making a note last
Hmm.
week. But
Okay.
you were going through the what are questions.
Uh-huh.
What are you saying? What are you writing? What are you eating? And we had the simple question, and then the
Yeah.
more emphasis question. And what are you eating? I had Ainena,
Yeah.
the
The
simple
simple
question.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I said, I had I na net.
Nanette.
What
Net.
what what does that mean? Nah.
Here's the thing.
Aya nanette. Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've just looked at Celia's notes and I've seen I've seen the answer.
She signaled you.
Yeah.
It's the thing that you're eating, isn't it? That's what you said.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. What is the thing that you're eating? Or what is it that you're eating?
Thank you.
Sounds like an emphasis.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I just thought my pen must have run out or something at that point.
Okay.
Sorry.
And so I just come up with an idea like I did to Tony the other day. Tony, did you find that useful?
For sure. Yeah, it
The
takes me
email
a
I
bit of
sent
time
you.
to work it out, but it was good to have.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
I will send you the Teizang version and the English version.
Yeah.
I
So-
think that was good.
Yeah. Like just random message. Nothing serious.
Yeah,
So
that's a really good idea.
I think it's gonna be a good practice. So I had an experiment on Tony the other day, whether it will work, and yeah, now it's going to be effective in helpful in learning. So maybe in the near future, you will have to write in Teizang.
Okay.
Phil's already started this morning on an email.
No, I sent him an email, Michael. Sorry, Rhoda, but it's just a silly thing between me and Tony and Steve. And I just said, by the way, the shirt I am wearing is comfortable. Do you like birds? And why do you eat banana? So
All in Teizang. You should have said it in Teizang.
all in Teizang, Michael.
Yeah. You see, starting with some silly things is very, very good.
Yeah.
If you get them right.
Let me tell you some silly thing that a lot of young people in Myanmar do when they begin to learn a language. For example, in English, you see, almost everyone. I mean, every young person in our village, in our town, they know some English words, some silly words. But I'm sorry if it might sound very rude, but you see, quite a lot of people on the street when they are drunk, and then when they come up with certain anger, they always say this fuck.
Yeah.
and they don't really know what it really means, but they have it on the tip of their tongue.
Yeah.
So like this, what I meant to say is we start from silly things, and then it's a good practice. You see, if you make a mistake, and then it turns to be a joke or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's really good.
Sure.
And I used to read jokes, a book of jokes written in English jokes. Yeah, I had an English book like the American jokes. Yeah, it was written long ago, but I learned quite a lot of vocabularies and quite a lot of language from that book I wrote each day. English jokes, yes, very funny, and sometimes dirty jokes, clean jokes, and so So when people you see tell a joke in English, then I know when to laugh. Knowing when to laugh is very, very difficult. You see, in my language, what I think very funny in my language might not sound funny in English. That's the what was it, the difference or the barrier or the difference between one language to another. See, in English, you say something which is very funny, but when you translate that into Teizang, and it's not funny anymore.
Yeah, we've tried that.
So knowing when to laugh is very, very important.
Yeah. So many English jokes that I like depend upon language and a word having two meanings, the same word. And then when that gets translated, it's useless.
Yeah, exactly. Because we have the language culture. You see, for example, when you swear about something, like I don't do it, I don't know, I swear. And then in a very informal setting, people might say, swear to God. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Swear to God and hope to die.
Yeah.
But in Myanmar, the way people swear is different. They use a different form of language, like Payasu Mujupit. Let the thunder strike me. Like this they swear. But when I translate that into English, and the tone is different. So I have to translate. For example, I say something to someone, and then he doesn't believe me. Then I say, I really mean it. I swear. I swear. I really mean it. I don't lie to you. I swear. So in Teizang, we say Singamin. I dare to die. This is said when swearing. But in English, I don't think you say that way.
No.
Some American cowboys from Texas, they say, I will eat my hat.
Yeah.
So if I translate that into Teizang language, it's not about swearing anymore. It would sound really funny and meaningless.
Yeah.
Because we never eat. We never had anything to do with the hat.
My mum used to say that, didn't you, Phil?
Yeah. I'll eat my hat. Yeah.
You never did.
So you used to say that?
Our mother did.
Yeah.
I think that originates from Texas cowboys, I think. So the culture of the language is different, and direct translation would sound inappropriate and sound very silly and funny. Okay. Well, you see the homework I gave you, our last homework, there were quite a lot of tricks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very frustrated.
And actually, when you look back now at the answers you've sent through, you just could kick yourself.
Yeah.
I don't mean literally, but there's one for you.
Well, I'll eat my hat.
That's the difference between English and Teizang, and the difference between Myanmar language and the Teizang language. You see, in Myanmar and English, we have like a kind of a system of a construction. For example, if you use the question word, then you follow the same pattern. Where did you go? Why did you go? Okay. And how did you go? So it follows the same pattern of sentence. But in Teizang, every type of question you make has a different pattern. That's the point. So I didn't expect to get many correct answers.
We didn't disappoint you then.
Not even a little. Because I should say that I thought so. I hope so.
When you open the homework, do you sit there laughing?
No, but
Crying.
you see, I understood that you got the idea. You got the language. All you needed was the way to arrange the words.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the position. That's the position of the words. That's the problem we're struggling.
I know.
And once you get over this, then we can run very smoothly.
Hopefully.
I bet.
Like I told you in the other lesson, you see, some people from my village, they speak Teizang like this, misplacing the words and misusing the words till today. So that's why it's no wonder you make those mistakes.
We'll just go and live in your village.
You see,
Add to it.
now I'm in the neighborhood of Falam people,
Mm.
who speak Falam language, a kind of Chin language. But in my family, in our neighborhood, I think we are the only family that speaks the Teizang language. Here, my next door neighbor Falam, and over there Mizo, and all surrounded by Falam and Mizo people. But they do understand Teizang language.
Mm.
But when they speak, they speak with a lot of mistakes. But the main thing is we understand what they mean, and that's the good point. Let's add some gathering, for example, the Teizang old woman and her neighbor Falam old woman, they speak to each other. The Teizang woman would speak in Teizang, and the Falam woman would respond in Falam, but they understand each other.
Okay.
So living in Mulai has one advantage, which is we understand three types of Chin languages, like Falam, Teizang, and Mizo. We understand those. The benefit we get from living in Mulai. So you see, even my next door neighbor, they've been living here for many years, since I first knew them. But till today, when they speak in Teizang, they can speak very well, making so many mistakes. So that's why I'm not disappointed. I wasn't surprised to see the mistakes you make.
You weren't frustrated.
No. If I were to get frustrated, how could I be a teacher?
Yes.
True.
So now let's get started. The first, I see you got the first and the second ones correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they were like
Easy.
easy, yeah. Like they were just the starter. When you eat in restaurant, the starter. Now we go to the main course.
Yeah. The bit of highlighted warned me that there was something tricky here.
Hello everybody. Sorry I'm late.
Hi, Steve. Not more.
Or Steve.
Do you still like being called Papu?
You can call me whatever you like.
We do.
Yeah.
You still do, Papu. A very popular name in Myanmar, in the Teizang society. Okay, now who begins first? Tony, would you begin? Your question.
I'd be happy if you just talk us through number 3,
Yeah.
please. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether ka comes in at the end of that either.
Can you tell me the English sentence?
How do I call you?
Oh, yeah.
So that's the I, isn't it? Why did I think
Yes.
that?
If the subject is I, then you end with ka. How do I call you? And ong and ka. This is the frame, the structure. If the subject is I, then you end with ong, ka. But I gave you some extra notes on this question, I suppose.
You did.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you understood my explanation. You
Obviously
see, how
not.
do I call you in English? This very a simple one, and you use the simple tense, the present tense. But in Teizang, we say this in a future form. That's why we have to put here, ing. Okay, ing. Because we use this in the future form. Now, let's say we meet for the first time, and I don't know your name. I don't know how to call you. Then I ask you, how do I call you? Then in English we say, how do I call you? Because we are asking the general people in general call. Okay, the name people in general call. But in Teizang we take it personal. So how will I call you? How am I supposed to call you? So we say it in future form. That's why we put ing. But in English, you don't use it in future form. That's the difference. Like sometimes we use the future when we say can. For example, how can I help you? Okay, how can I help you? This in English, this is not a future form, but in Teizang, we put ing because we take it as a future. So how do I call you? You tell me your name and I will call you with the name, with your name. So it's like a future for me because I haven't called your name yet, because you haven't told me your name yet. And once you tell me, I will call you in that name. That's why we use the future. So how do I call you? How is Goi Jia Ong? Call is Sam Inka. Goi Jia is the question word. How do? Okay. I and you. And so I is the subject and you is the object. Since you is the object, we use ong, and I is the subject, we use ka. How do I call you? Goiji ong samin ka. Then let me change the. Okay, let me write another. How do I? Let's say. But you see, how do I talk to you? I don't think you use like this. Okay. In English, I suppose you say, how should I talk to you? Formally, or in a friendly way, or informally? So how should I talk to you? Tony?
We would probably use the word address. How would I address you?
Address you is to call the name, right?
Yeah. It's the sort of name you're going to use. You've said it to Steve.
Yeah.
Do you mind being called Bapu still, or do you want me to call you Mr. Seddon?
We would say, what shall I call you? We wouldn't use how, would we?
Oh.
Yeah. So what shall I call you? What do I call you? Right? Yeah. But in Teizang, we use the how, the word how in that sense. That's why I put this. I have never seen how do I call you. I have never had people say how do I call you. But in Teizang, we use how. That's the difference. In English, you say, what do I call you? What do I address, or how do I address you? Yes, sometimes possible. But what do I call you? What shall I call you? Most common. But in Teizang, we use the word how in this situation. So, for example, I'm going to talk to you, and I'm not sure whether I should be polite, or I should be friendly, or I should sound very formal or informal. Then I'm asking you, how should I talk to you? Is that possible in English? Is this question possible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I made a mistake because when I read that, how do I call you? I was thinking of how do I call you on the phone, or I was thinking telephone, yeah, or shout, because, or
yeah, it can mean that way. It can also mean that. So that's the difference. Okay, in Teizang, when you ask somebody their name, then we use the how, goijia, or simply what is your name. Okay. So just simple. Just remember, if the subject is I and the object is you, we use ong and ga. But here, the reason we use ing in this sentence is because we say this in the future form. That's why.
Okay. Got that.
Okay, then. What's the next question?
Number 5.
4.
Four.
You were number 4.
Okay, let's go down one by one.
How did you know my address?
Okay. Sorry. How did you know my? How did you know my address? So, since the subject is you, we end with na, right? Na. And the question word how is goijia. So, goijia, then the object. My address, kaomna. And verb. No is say. The word for no is say. Then we end with na. Here, this is the object, my address. And na means the subject is you. Okay? And this say is for no. Then you can put the object first. So you can also say kaomna. Okay? Then the question word goichi then the verb, say na. So you can start here, you can start with the question word, or you can start with the object. Both are equally common.
That was quite straightforward.
Yeah. Because the question itself is short.
Yeah.
No is sleep.
Feel, do you get this?
Yeah, I got that one correct.
Okay. And what's the number 5, right?
Yeah. How do you make money in your country?
Oh yeah, how do people what? Make money, right?
money.
In your country.
Now, the question becomes longer.
Mm.
Then, in your country is the place, okay? And make money is a combination of verb and object. So you can start with the place word. So in your country is na, ngam, a. But mostly when I speak to a foreigner, and when I ask when I talk about, for example, okay, when you come to Moonlight, and when I say in your country, I say in the plural. The your is the plural in Teizang, okay?
Yeah.
That's why nangam vua. The single form your is a, okay? Nangam a. When I say nangam a, means you the country belongs to you. If I say this, nangam a means you are the owner of the country. But since you do not own the country on your own, we use the plural nangam vua. In your country, in your neighborhood, in your town, in your village, in your church, like this, we use vua because it is not your personal possession. That's our way of thinking. Nangam vua. So when you speak to people in Munai, then in your village, when you say in your village, you should not say nakwa a, because the village is not your own property. That's why nakwa vua, napol bi vua. Okay? At your church means you are not the only person who owns that church. That's why we say nabiak in vua.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, multiply owned. Plurally possessed.
Yeah.
Very strange, huh? Tony, do you think it's strange to you? What?
I think it would be understood, to be honest, in English without any question. Nobody would think it was your country, so it makes sense to me. Yeah.
So when I say in your country, then you don't think anything about who owns it and things like that.
Mm.
But in Teizang, we think that way. That's why, if this is not my personal belonging, then we say vua.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my country, kangam vua, because my country is not my own personal belonging. So I have to say vua, vua.
The answer would, yeah, sorry. I was going to say the answer would give it away a little bit, because it works around a house. If you said to my children, what is happening in your house tonight? Their answer would be, our house is going to have a party.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
I might answer that my house is going to have a party if it was me, because it is my house.
Yeah. So in the government school, when we have the same culture of using this type of position in Myanmar language, the same. So in Myanmar and in Teizang, we have the same opinion on this. So you would say to me, in my country, Okay.
Yeah.
But you don't think anything about position. But in Teizang, if I say something to you about Myanmar, I would say in our country. We use our.
Yeah.
Because we grew up with this tradition.
Yeah.
So many English speakers in Myanmar, we personalize the norm quite often. And when you give an example, you say in English you say you okay, you a lot in explanation, in giving example. But in Myanmar, we use we.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do people make money in your country? We start with the place in your country. Then people mean. This is a shortened word for me in. Okay, we contract me in and combine them in one word. So mean. You should sound like this. Mean.
Mm-hmm.
M-I-N is mean. So mean people, and then the question word. Sum zong. Because the subject is the plural, we don't end with a, but sorry. Okay.
Okay.
Nangamwa is here for the in your country. Then mean is the subject, people. Goijia is the question word, how. Then we can say this in another way. Nangamwa mean okay. You can put the question word before the verb. So nangamwa means sum goijia zongwa. Goijia sum zongwa. Here goijia sum zongwa. And sum goijia zongwa. Possible. And then you can say this nangamwa, okay? You start with the question word. Goijia mean sum zong u a. So this is our formal way of saying. We start with the question word, okay? You can start with the subject, and put the question word right after the subject. Yeah, you can start with the subject, and then the object, and then the question word. So these are possible ways you can say it.
So Michael, I have a question.
Okay.
I got this one wrong because I was following your second example where you say a place word comes before the main verb. So I put the your country before the verb to make money.
So what you wrote was like this. Mean.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then.
Koi banga.
Okay. Koi banga. Sum. Zong.
Then nang.
Oh yeah.
So that the place comes before sumzong.
Nangamwa. Okay.
Yeah.
mean koi banga nangamwa sumzongwa. Yeah, possible.
Okay.
I had it with the min after kochi.
Koichia.
Kochia. I had kochia first because I always thought the question word had to come first. Kochia, then the min.
Min, then the place.
And the place, yeah. But I didn't have the, I know I got it wrong. I missed out the voya.
Voa. Yeah. If you say this, it is also correct.
Okay. But I got it wrong because I missed out the work. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, nangamwa mean koichia sumzongwa. Nangamwa mean sum koichi zongwa. Nangamwa koichia mean sumzonga. Mean koibanga nangamwa sumzongwa. Koichia mean nangamwa sumzongwa. All the same.
Okay.
So, all the sentences are correct.
It was that voa.
Yeah, voa. Voa and oa. The ending. And voa.
I thought
Steve, you got it correct, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I followed the same logic for the next one.
Yeah.
How did you know, Steve, about the voa then? Did you remember that?
The which, sorry?
The voa.
Voa.
Yeah. The plural of your.
How did you remember that bit?
It's just called intellectual horsepower.
Okay.
You see, when you mention a place, okay, let's say your house. In Teizang thinking, when somebody says your house in Teizang is na in a, okay? Then you are the only person who owns the house. You are the only owner of the house. Maybe you live alone. Then your house in general term, as you say in English, but in Teizang we say na in u. Sorry, this double N. Na inu. If I say na inu, then in English the general term, your house, very simple one. But in Teizang, this has a different meaning. When I say na inu, maybe you are not the only person who owns this house. Maybe you are just a member of the family, or you live with other members of the family. So we address in the general term, the plural form, which you never use in English.
No.
So let me tell you another example. At my, let's say in my village. In English, you don't think about any type of owning or possession. So in Teizang, na kwa a, your village. Then we can also say in your village, but in the plural form. Na kwa wa a. So we are talking about the place, then we use voa in the plural. But if you're talking about not a place but some noun, you say u.
Got it. Didn't realize. That's it. Thank you.
So let's say
place.
let me ask you, Phil, have you got a car? Do you have a car?
Yeah.
So when I mention your car, then I should say your car is na motor. Then if I say na motor, means you are the only owner. But I think your car is the family possession. Then
Yep.
I should say your car would become na motor u.
Mm.
Okay. Owned in partnership.
Yeah.
Guess we wouldn't have it like that, would we? We just have one
Yeah.
owner and an extra driver.
Yeah. I've got it now. Yeah, I think.
But this is we use u when we talk about material. Okay, let's say material. But when we mention the place which you belong to, then we have to be careful with the a and the voix. House, your neighborhood, your church, okay, your family, and your country. In Teizang thinking, they are not your own, your personal belonging. They are not your personal possession. That's why we in Teizang language always say what in your village na what in your town na what in your country na ngam what, okay, in your church na bol bi what, like this,
Mm-hmm.
to emphasize that you are not the only person who owns it.
I follow that. Yeah, I understand all that. I'm still struggling though with how that applies to question number 5. How do people make money in your country? Your country is Nanyam.
Ngam.
Nanyam.
No.
And then
Nga.
Because people is plural, Phil.
Yeah.
okay.
So here, in your country and these people, they are related.
Yeah, but why is it voix then?
Voix.
Voix.
I think I have just said that.
It's you've got to have a plural for the fact that it's a plural possession for the and that's
shared one. Shared one.
But then you have
You
the
share.
to show the plural in the sentence. Yeah?
Okay, but I don't have that in my answer that you're giving me. I've got min.
Yeah. I just take your answer in English thinking.
Oh, okay.
That's why. Then.
That's why I didn't put voix. You see, if you say then it's possible.
So you can use that.
It's acceptable.
Okay.
Okay.
If you say nangama, then people easily understand what you mean.
Okay.
No serious mistake, but in a more correct way,
Okay.
in our thinking, we say voix.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I meant.
Okay.
Okay. Right.
And another one.
How can we help you?
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Do number 6. Yes, you did.
No, you haven't done 6.
How can we help
sorry.
you? Sorry?
Sorry, I missed one, Michael.
Oh yeah.
How do people learn English in your country?
The same with the previous one.
Yeah, I think so.
Mm.
Yeah.
Min Mang.
Mang Pao. You see, in English, when you say English, it can mean the people or the language.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Same in English.
But in Teizang, the people are called Mangkangte. You are Mangkang. And the language is Mangpao. Okay. Now, how do people learn English in your country? Then the English here means the language. So we say Mangpao. If you mean the people, just say Mangte. Mangte. But some people might say Englante. Englante means people from England. To say English, okay. Some people would say Englante, Americante, but the general term is Mangkang, Mangte. Okay, every white people Mangkangte. We don't emphasize on their origin. We emphasize on their looks, their skin. That's why Mangkang. Okay. So how do people learn English in your country? Here we have the subject right here, the subject, the verb, and the object. So if you have these three things, the subject, verb, and the object, and the place word, it is easier to start with the place word. So let's begin. Na, ngam, bua. Okay? And then the subject, people, mean. Then the question word, koi, ji, ah. Then the English, mang pao. Verb, sin. Since the subject is the plural form, we say u, ah. Nangam bua mean koi ji, ah, mang pao, sin, u, ah. Or you can also say nangam bua. Sorry. Mean, then you start with the object. Mang pao. Then the question word. Ah, verb. Sin, u, ah. Nangam bua mean mang pao koi ji, ah, sin, u, ah. Then another one. Sorry. Nangam bua, okay. You can start with the object. Mang pao. Then the subject mean question word. Possible. Nangam bua mean koi chia mang pao sinua. Nangam bua mean mang pao koi chia sinua. Nangam bua mang pao mean koi chia sinua. So the word that comes first, which word comes first, depends on your emphasis.
So you could have put the question word as well first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on your emphasis.
Yeah.
If your emphasis is on the people, then you can start with mean, okay? If your emphasis is on the English, then here, mang pao. Sometimes, well, we have free rules, very free. Okay, Tony, do you get this?
Yep, that's good. Thank you.
Any more
I
questions?
did the same as on the previous one, where na ngam came before the verb,
Nangam bua. Then?
and I dropped the vua,
Oh.
as you said, with the ua at the end.
Oh yeah, ua.
Mhm.
We put ua at the end because the subject is the plural form, right?
Yeah.
Then the reason we put voi is because your is a plural.
Yeah, I get
In
that.
a plural sense. Okay. So then, what's the next question?
Yours, Steve.
How can we help you?
Oh yeah. How can we help you? So, in this sentence, we say in the future form. How can we help you? In our Teizang thinking, okay? The help will come in the future. That's why we use the future form. The future form is in. It would be like, how will we help you? This is the Teizang thinking. Sorry. In English, how can we help you? But in Teizang, we say like this. How will we help you? But what we mean is the same. So when you say in Teizang, you have to follow this future form, because the help is for the future, as we see. So, koi ji a. Then, if the subject is we and ong and kai wa, this is the ending.
Can't believe I missed ong out again.
So ong, help is hu, ing, kai wa. This ing is the future form. So let me give you another one. You see, if the subject of a question is I, then we put ga, right? If the subject of the question is you, then we put na at the ending. Then if the subject is we, the subject of the question is we say kai wa. So this is the formal, the basic form. If the subject is I in the question, you end with ga. If the subject is you, na. Then if the subject is another plural form, then you end with u, a. Okay? Then if the subject you is the plural, then nai voa. Then right here, like I said, we have to say this in the future form, so we put ing. That's why ing kai voa. Since the object is you, we put ong right here. So koijia, how you help will we. Koijia ong hu ing kai voa.
Yeah, I miss the
So
ong.
when the ong is showing we to you, as well as it shows you to me.
You to me, yeah. We to you, I to you, you to me, ong.
I didn't, yeah.
But the ending speaks, you see. Kai voa, the ending kai voa is, it emphasizes the subject we. This ong is used because you is included. You to me, I to you, we to you, ong. So you miss to use the future form right here. That's why you got it incorrect. But no wonder. sometimes when we speak, I mean, we, the Myanmar people, when we speak English, we speak in the Myanmar thinking. That's why sometimes it's not understandable, or sometimes it becomes confusing. Like the use of the tense and the use of the pronouns. The way of thinking is different.
Mm.
So here, for example, how can I help you? You say in a general term. Let's say, how can we help you? But in Teizang, we say it in the future form because we see it as future activity. But you never think that way. So translation, I mean interpreting the English, translation from English to Teizang and Teizang to English, very confusing. You have to adjust the culture of the language from both sides.
Yeah.
Like I said, we never say I will eat my hat. If I translate, I will eat my hat into Teizang in the literal meaning, then people will end up laughing. We call this language culture. I'm not sure if I'm right. Language culture. You see, I made a very great, I mean, obvious progress in my learning English. I still remember that I made a progress since I read the culture of English. A book, the English culture. I read a book about the English culture.
Only you should get that book and read it.
But you won't get the culture of Teizang. No book yet. Maybe I will have to write it.
There's a job for you. Yeah.
I'd buy it.
Yeah, same here.
You see, in English, the difference between English and Teizang. In English, you are very, let's say, frank in some way. For example, let's say you are honest, but we're not as honest as the English. When you come to Myanmar and when you come to Munlai, and my aunt will make you a coffee, and she asks, would you like some coffee? And then if you like it, then you say, oh yes, please. You say it directly. But in Teizang, we don't say that way in that situation. First, we would say like, oh, it's not necessary. Then she insists, and then secondly, I accept it. We hide our feelings. But in English, you say something very straightforward. Let's say, you like it? Yes, please. Thanks.
That is so insightful because we observe people behaving that way. It's like they don't want to put us to any trouble. So their first instinct is to say no.
Yeah.
Even when perhaps they mean yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
you see, I mean yes, but I say no at first.
Yeah, because it's polite.
But the horse is supposed to insist.
Yeah, that's why when we go visiting in Munlai and we say no to a drink, we actually mean no because we don't want to drink their water.
Yeah, but they will insist.
But they ask us again if they're not used to us going. Yeah.
You see, we have a culture. I mean, the Teizang culture. People from the Chin Hill. When you go visit a friend, and they will bring you a cup of homemade alcohol. Okay, their hospitality. Then they will offer you a cup of their homemade alcohol, and you would say, "Oh no, thank you," but they will insist you maybe 2 times, 3 times, and then finally, until you accept it, they will hold you and they will hold your mouth open and pour it into your mouth. Yes.
Never happened to me with your aunt.
But we don't live in the Chin Hill anymore. That's why. But that is the kind of practice. Let me say the practice of greeting, welcoming guests. And in some Chin society, like the Teizang people, they will when you visit them, they will offer you like how do we say, the homemade we say sticky rice. Okay, sticky rice. Do you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Sticky rice like this, a very big one. Then you have to eat it, and you eat it, and then you can't eat it anymore. You leave some, and they will get angry. So you have to eat them all, whether you like it or not, to show your to show you accept their welcoming you, and you accept their hospitality.
So what happens, Michael, when genuinely you don't want what they're offering? Like, for example, Tony is allergic to eggs.
Mm-hmm.
And
then you have to say frankly, "Oh, I'm allergic to this."
Okay. Yeah.
But
he was my hero. He had the eggs anyway.
Yeah. If you want to be genuine, you have to reject them every time they insist. That's it. Then after 2 or 3 times, they will stop.
Yeah, that's what we used to have to do with the amount of rice that we were given. We put it on somebody else's plate.
Yep.
Half of it. Yeah.
But in English, if you say 1 time, that's enough, right? So like this, quite different, but interesting.
Thank you.
It's not peculiar to Myanmar either. It's different cultures have that. I think actually in Genesis you get the same thing with Abraham's dealings with the Hittites and things. That there's immediate refusal, but the refusal is meant to be polite. It's not meant to be refusal.
So we followed that, I suppose.
A lot of history.
Well, what about the next question? The next one.
How do you think of my new car?
What?
Oh yeah. You see, in English, you say, "What do you think of my new car?" Right? You don't say how.
No.
But in Teizang, we say like how. That's why I wrote in English how. To sound more like Teizang. If you say, "What do you think of my new car?" then in Teizang, the sentence would be different. This is what you say in English. Right. What do you think of my new book? What do you think of my new car? But in Teizang, we say like how. That's why. How do you think of my new car? Which you never say in English. So you have to translate like how, okay? As using how. So you can start with the question word and the object. So let's start with the object. Ka, mo, to, koi, ji, a, mu, na. Asking your opinion, right? Kamoto, koi, ji, a, mu, na. And it is possible to start with the question word right here. It is possible, but less common. The second one, we never we don't use this type quite often when we ask about people's opinion on something. You see, what do you think of my new car? When I say this, I'm asking your opinion, right? What do you think of my new car? I mean, do you think my new car is nice or what? I'm asking your comment. So in this sense, we don't put the question word first. We start with kamoto koichiamu na, because it's just for asking opinion on something. What's your opinion on my car? Do you think it's nice or not? Like this, asking your comment. In this sense, we start with the object. More common than starting with the question words.
Can I ask a question on that one? You gave us for think of Nai Sun or Mu.
Nai Sun, Mu, yeah.
Okay, so Nai Sun is
Nai. The same. Nai Sun
same as Mu. Mu. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm right.
Nai Sun and Mu is you give your opinion on something. Okay.
You not need sack in there, Michael, for new.
Oh yeah, sorry. I forgot. Motor sak, okay? Exactly. Motor sak.
So
okay.
Sorry, if you were saying before that you can change the word order for emphasis, so presumably here you've put car first, the object, because that's the emphasis.
Yes.
If we were in a discussion where I've got a horrible shirt on and everybody thinks it's horrible, and I say to Steve, what do you think of my new shirt? Would I change the order of the words then?
This form. No. Use this structure. Use this form.
Okay.
What did you think of my new my shirt? Okay. What did you think of my shirt? And why are you asking that question?
Opinion.
Because you want to get the opinion of the people around you, right? So to ask the opinion of somebody on something, we put the object first and then the question words. In other sense, in other situation, the words you can change the position of the words as you like. Like I gave you the 4 possible question sentences. But in this question, it is not a real question. It is just asking opinion. That's why we prefer to use this, not this one.
You're very generous in giving me a correct on that one, because
same here.
See, understandable.
Okay.
If you are understandable, then your communication is okay.
Oh dear.
We get by.
Yeah, but get by it. First, understandable. Second, correct.
Okay.
That's better.
Why oh dear, Steve?
Sorry?
Why did you say oh dear?
Because it means several of mine weren't understandable.
Oh.
No.
So my mistake on number 8 was missing my at the front, my car.
Yeah.
I think I must have written, what do you think of the car, the new car? So.
Kamoto.
Yeah.
Right.
Car. Yeah.
Kamoto. My.
That would be understandable though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't help because my is car.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So car and car.
Yeah,
That's why I told you. You see, that's
if
why
your car is a Ford car.
Say this not car but ka.
Ka.
Ka. Like the song you make when you say let's say How do you say this word? How do you pronounce this?
Circus.
Yes, gus. You don't say cus, right?
No, because
The sound you make for this is ga.
Oh, okay.
circus.
Circus. Ga. Yeah.
More fantastic.
Like ga for circus. Okay, any more question? So what's the next one?
How do
How
you say this in Chinese? I don't. I can't speak Chinese.
What? What do you say this, right?
How do you say this in Chinese?
How do you? How do you say this in Chinese? So, in Chinese, in a language, okay? In a language, we say, language is bao. In a language, we say in, bao, in, or to, mang bao, to. In Chinese, then we say, Chinese is sen bao. Sen bao in, or sen bao to. The preposition in, right here. In Teizang, we say, sen bao in, sen bao to. Okay. Some people would lazily say, sen bao a. Informally. This in and to and a, they are for the preposition in right here. So then, okay.
In your answer, you start with he, H-I.
This. The he is for this. He is
Okay.
this. But if what you ask is obvious, then you don't necessarily need to say this, he. That's why I put correct on some answers. I think, Phil, was that your answer?
No, yeah, I just started with the question word.
I had he before sem pa in the middle. I started with a question.
So did I.
And then put sam he.
Not some, sen. So let me write. He sen bao a goi ji sam na. And you can start with the sen bao. Sen bao a. This how say. He, this the word he is for this. Okay.
So some is say.
Some is say, yes.
So I put them in the wrong order.
Sen bawa in Chinese. He is this, okay? Goiji is how. Some is the verb. Say. Then you can start with sen bawa he goiji sam na. And you start with the question one, right?
Yeah, my mistake was to miss this out.
Yeah, that's same here. Yeah.
Goiji he sen bao a sam na. This one, I don't say this is incorrect, but not a preference. Koichi, he said, Bawa Samna, understandable, but not common. The last one.
And
So,
you wouldn't put Samna before Senpao?
No. Because in the question, na, a, voa, ua, the ending are like
Yes,
this.
the end. Yeah.
Because we're asking question.
And you wouldn't put Sam then, just Sam before. You wouldn't put
No.
say it. No. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
If the you is the plural, then you can say nai wa. Yeah. Nai wa. If the you here is the plural you, then we put the ending right here. Nai wa. And if the subject right here is they, then we should end with ah. So the number of the subject is seed at the ending of the question. If the subject is the plural and the ending is plural. If the subject is singular and the ending is singular.
Michael, can I ask you a question?
Okay, go.
On the side of this, I was going to ask you this at some time anyway. Does Teizang, does it use capital letters? I notice because it's Chinese, you get a capital S for Senpao. Is that important?
No, not important.
Okay.
The individual choice. Let me say. In English, you have a rule, like when you talk about
Proper noun.
A proper noun, yeah, you use the capital, but in Teizang we don't have such rule.
That's understandable because you've said to us that it's a spoken language, not a written language. So
yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
And we do have some literature rules, but in Didim, not Teizang.
Yeah.
So when you read the Bible, you read in Didim, but you preach in Teizang.
Okay, but
you interpret the message in Teizang.
Yeah, Tidim would use capitals.
I don't know exactly, but maybe because the Tidim literature rule follows quite a lot of those in English.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Because the literature we have was brought from English.
Yeah.
We were taught the letters by the English. Then also the literature of the Tidim language is also let's say people are still debating on the rules of the literature. So I don't know which one is the most correct one. So in my personal verdict, the most common one is the correct one.
Yeah.
I can write better in Myanmar and English than Tidim. In terms of the rules, the grammatical rules, or the, how do you say, the position, okay, the word order, the punctuation, let's say. I hate to learn the use of punctuation in Tidim. Because new rules are being added up every year. Okay, you have new rules added up. So I'm sick of learning that punctuation. Because I'm more used to the English punctuation. That's why. Okay, let's go on to the next one.
How do you make a pizza?
Oh, the last one, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you make it? Then, sorry, here the subject is you. Then we say this subject you is the singular. Then the question must end with na, right?
Yeah.
Then you can start with the question word, goitia, then pizza, ball, na. Or you can start with the object. Pizza, goitia, ball, na. It's your choice. Both are equally common.
So I said I was asking it of a group of people,
Then,
more than one. So I ended. No.
exactly.
Oh, so that was right.
Yeah.
I don't know how I found that. It's remembering it, isn't it?
If the you is for group of people, then you end with nai voix. Pizza goichi ball nai voix.
Yeah.
Strange question to ask a group of people, Rhoda.
No, I was thinking of a classroom, asking the children how to make it.
That makes sense.
You see, Steve, let me tell you our way of asking. You see, goichi pizza ball na. If you say this to a single person who is in the kitchen making pizza, you say this to the individual person. So we ask them in group. So you go to a restaurant, let's say, or a bakery. You go to a bakery store, and then you ask one of the staffs how they make pizza. Then
how does one make pizza? Yeah.
So you say in the plural, in Teizang way of thinking.
Yeah, no, I understand it.
I would say it like that, yeah.
So you go visit a family and ask something that concerns with all of them. Then ask them in the plural form. So let's say the most common question we ask to people is, what do you have for lunch, right? But in Teizang, in Moonlight, I think you might have seen we have curry. We have rice, curry, and like soup, right? So our main subject is the curry. So when you ask them, what is your curry? Then that your is the plural.
Okay.
Because all the people in all the members of the family eats that curry. So it concerns with everyone. So ask them in plural. I may name which doesn't exist in English, I suppose. You never asked about curry. And you don't have curry, right?
Yeah. You know,
We do have curry now.
very popular now.
Oh.
Eat more curry than most other things.
Yes.
You see, we have three things in our meal: rice, soup, and curry. So you talk about the curry the most. You don't talk about the rice and the soup. We don't care. What we care is the curry.
But sometimes the curry is on the left of the rice, and sometimes it's on the right of the rice.
in the middle of the table.
Yeah, that's how you get variety in your meals.
We have you see some extra one, like kind of what should I call, kind of a salad, like roast potato, and you smash it with slice of onion, and you put some chilies and salt, and you stir them, and salty and hot. So we also have that, but we don't count it in the curry.
Sounds like Bombay aloo to me.
Sorry?
I said it sounds like Indian Bombay aloo.
Oh yeah. kind of. Not exactly the same.
So
Curry
what-
kocha bauna.
Kochi ball na. Yes.
Curry
I'll tell
kocha
you.
bauna.
No. This is if you want to ask what is your curry, then you start with the question word what.
I thought I was asking you, how do you make curry?
Oh yeah. So how do I make curry? How you make curry depends on your budget.
Yeah.
I thought you were asking why there's banana. Why is there banana in my curry?
On Loneve.
Lanave, why don't you eat banana? You
Actually,
see, if you have more money and your curry would be meat of any kind, pork, beef, chicken, and things like that. And if you don't have money to spend on curry, and your curry would be fried vegetables, that's it. So
Monkey.
we want to talk about the curry we eat, kind of showing off.
so actually ordering food should be quite straightforward.
Yeah. In restaurant, in Myanmar restaurant, you can when you order the local food, you have plain food. We say plain food, just cooked rice and soup and curry. Yeah, 3 types. Then that's enough.
Hmm.
But in like international restaurant, like you have Thai dish and what Chinese, Japanese food. So in most of Asian food, you eat rice, right? But in Western, like American, and I don't know how you order, but all I know is you have the starter and the main course and dessert. You order 3 times, but we ordered 3 types at one sit. But cost less.
Yeah, I like that.
So when I had lunch with some guests from like New Zealand and from the US and Australia and Germany, so I used to take them to the local restaurant, Thai restaurant, and they were quite confused when ordering the food, which they are not used to. So when you come to Moonlight again, I will treat you a lunch. Then you will see.
Goshen.
Promise.
Green curry.
okay.
Yeah, the ghost.
Goshen is our favorite.
Yeah.
Ocean. Have you been to the flow on the side of the main road?
Yeah, I
Flow.
think so. Flow, yeah.
Yeah.
With a nice
It's a bit-
FLW.
Maybe.
If you are interested in the Thai food, Thai and Chinese, flow is the best. And Goshen also, Goshen is also good.
What's the one with the nice tables? The big trees sawn in half.
Goshen at Goshen.
No, another one off the main road.
Flow. The name is Flow, but they are kind of like Botolo in Australian. That restaurant is like a Botolo. Tony, do you know Botolo?
Not really, no. That's not a UK thing, I think.
Yeah, Australian.
Rhoda
You all
will know
see.
that.
Rhoda?
No, I wish I did. I don't. No.
Botolo is a very common, a very popular one. This
How do you
Botolo is a bar, a pub. Yeah.
How do you
They
spell
serve
it?
drinks. Bottle O.
Oh, bottle.
Bottle.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
Bottle
Okay.
hyphen with the hyphen. Bottle
Yeah.
O.
Ross
Kind
might
of
know
a,
it.
It's an
Kind of
off license.
Yeah.
The
That's what we
kangaroo.
would call it, off license.
ah,
Yeah.
It says on the dictionary, it's a shop selling alcoholic drink for consumption elsewhere.
Ah.
So the Flow restaurant is like a bar. So sometimes it's not very convenient to eat there. I mean, I don't know how you think, but in my way of thinking, you see, in our society, it's not good for you to be seen in a place where alcohol is sold, and so I prefer not to go there. Because if people see me go there, they would think, oh, he drinks alcohol. But with foreigners, we have a different perspective. We're not too strict with the way we see foreigners.
Yeah.
We automatically accept, and we see that foreigners are free. But for the local people, we're quite strict. So there are certain places you are not supposed to be seen at.
Okay.
Well,
Thank you.
I'm going to have to love you and leave you all, I'm afraid. I've got things to get to. So good session. Sorry for my lateness. And
okay.
Topa Tupa.
Yes, Topa Tupa.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The later you come, the sooner you leave.
Goodbye.
Just kidding.
He's gone.
He's gone.
In the house.
Hello.
I'm still feeling bad about the time that I greeted us all right at the very beginning with Sungpa.
Yeah.
Zan.
What did
Zanpa.
Zampa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Time to leave.
Zan. It's like the
Goodbye.
Z. How do you say this?
Zun.
Zun.
No.
Zan is Z-A-N. Zan.
Z-A-N. Yeah.
Zan.
Zan.
Zanpa.
Grandpa.
And if you accidentally say like this,
Zang.
What does that
Zang.
mean?
I prefer not to tell you.
Oh,
Just don't do it.
okay, we get the message. We'll be very careful.
Yeah. So the sound, like I told you, the sound plays very important role.
Yes, we've learned that.
You might sound very, very silly if you make a mistake in the sound you make. So, for example, goi, goi is this like a carving, not straight. Okay, something that is not straight, like bending or carving. Goi. But if you say goi, then you put your arms around somebody. Goi, the word is the same.
Goi.
Yes, goi is hugging.
Hugging.
Yeah.
Ah.
A good one.
Goi is not straight, bending or carving. So this is the example of how the sound you make can have the different meaning.
Goi.
Then here, lum. Okay, lum is sleep. A sudden fall. Lum. Yes, exactly.
Lum.
Is sleep. But if you stress a bit longer, lum is hot. It's very hot. Yeah.
Well, that can make you sleepy. So.
Yeah. So your song must be very careful. Lum.
Yeah.
Sleep. Lum is hot. Okay. And slow, start slow and go high. Loom. Loom. Loom means your how do we say in English? English word for loom is making excuses. Yeah. Making excuses. So the word is the same. So you have three meanings depending on the voice you make.
I want to ask you, when you write a letter, you know how we traditionally formally start a letter with dear so and so, dear Tony, dear Michael. How do Teizang people, or would they do it?
Not even Teizang, but also the Titim people. We don't have that form. So the most common one is you start with the person you address, and then you put "or."
Oh, okay.
So to, let's say, brothers and sisters in Christ, let's say. Right?
Yep.
Then the most suitable one. Yeah, this one. You end with this "or." It's similar to this "to." Brothers and sisters, sangamte, okay? Sangamte. In Christ, kazi sunga. In is sunga. Sunga is for the in. So to brothers and sisters in Christ, kazi sunga sangamte. Oh. Yes, we formally started writing a letter addressing people like this.
Right. And if you're writing it to a person, you just put their name or.
Yeah.
Like Michael or.
Yeah, exactly.
To
Tony would be Tony or. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Michael.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for turning up.
No, thank you.
Yeah, it's really helpful doing it this way, going through the questions. Thank you.
Yeah,
it is. The tricks are very subtle that you put in.
Yes.
I had to think a lot how to arrange
it. I have a picture of you between now and whenever it is you send them on, maybe a Saturday, thinking, oh, that's 2, 3 more to go. I'll have to get another trick in.
But yeah, you see, in my opinion, I don't know how you see your progress, but from the way I see it, I think you learn better this way.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because I stir up the dilemma you can have.
You do.
Yeah, I stir up the dilemma you can have first, then we discuss again. This is one good way of learning a language.
Yeah.
I always go for the easy ones first. It makes me feel better, and then work my way backwards.
It's when you end up with 3 or 4 different things and you're not really sure. I'm scrolling back through notes and nothing comes up with the answer.
Oh no.
That's the time when you have to make a guess.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right, okay.
Based on your previous knowledge, you guess.
Yeah. Your previous mistakes.
You see, sometimes when people translate English into Titim or any other language. Some people make a guess when they translate.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't get the whole sentence, so they just guess, and they just furnish. they just polish it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say something here that I might regret saying, and everyone may hate me. I'm just wondering if it would be useful to have some translations like that to do on more of the stuff we've done, because there's a range now, and also whether it would help when we're meeting together to actually have to say it ourselves. That means we don't have to think about what we're trying to say. It's just written down for us. We've already worked it out to some extent, but we're practicing saying it. Now, as I say, I might regret saying that, and everyone might hate me, but
I'm just wondering whether to hate you.
Yeah.
But you see, that would be a great idea, a good practice also.
You can
Because
go.
we're not having to struggle for the words. That's the first problem when you ask
Exactly.
a question,
Because-
is trying to find the words.
Because the sentence will be ready-made.
Yeah, even if it's wrong, it will be made. Yeah.
You go first, Tony.
Well, I'm just sort of enjoying this so much that but I'm aware that there's so much
That will be
gone.
our next step, Tony. Exactly.
Okay,
That will be
thank
our
you.
next step.